Paint protective film, also known as PPF, has been very popular with luxury car owners. However, its popularity has been increasing across the board with enthusiasts as the technology has improved. Today we'll take a look at 3M Scotchgard Paint Protective Film. The guys at 3M claim this product has UV inhibitors, that it's able to protect against minor scuffs and scratches, such as from road debris, and that this product can be treated like paint when it comes to sealants, waxes, and all those other last step products. We will review how the film looks after application, test gloss readings, UV transmission, hydrophobicity, physical durability, and its effect on last step product durability. We will start by applying 4 patches and 1 longer strip of PPF to my test hood. The individual patches will be used for optical review and product durability. There are also control areas where we won't have PPF. I am not a PPF installer, so I'll not spend much time reviewing the application. Now we'll be working in this area here on this half of the hood. I'll start by spraying on a little all-in-one solution. So we've got our PPF that we're gonna line up. Looks pretty good. It's hard to tell it's there from a distance. Now I'm going to install 3 more. I made a little bit of a boo-boo there. I don't know if you can see, but there's like specks of white dust on it already, and I literally just peeled it. I mean, I'm not going to bother cleaning it up because we're just testing. Yeah, I can see the white little spot right there. It's gonna leave a bubble. As a reminder, we always do prep this panel with polishing before we do any testing. We're gonna put our big patch of PPF right here. So yeah, I'm peeling right there, and there's already a bunch of white stuff on this sheet. Pretty annoying. It is time to apply our last step products. We will be using the Adams Graphene Ceramic Spray Coating for our ceramic test at the top, Extreme Solutions Poly Seal as a spray sealant for the second set of squares, and Wolfgang Deep Gloss for the final liquid sealant test over here. Now these 2 we will leave as controls. One will be bare paint, the other will be bare PPF. We'll use a separate microfiber for each product. I've already shaken these up. I always shake them up before I start, but I'll just show you anyway. Now when I tested an older bottle of this stuff, I believe I got 12 washes out of it. We'll let it dry to a haze and then pick it up. We'll shake up the poly seal. Now per the instructions, I've got a wet wrung out terry cloth applicator. It's just easier not to waste a whole towel. It smells like the stomach medication I used to have to take as a kid. Now we've got this Adams Graphene, and this stuff went for 113 washes if I recall correctly. Now we'll wait for that to flash and turn kind of rainbowy. I think we could start removing the graphene now. We will give this panel 24 hours to cure because both the PPF and the products need a cure period. If you follow my channel, you know I've been running a UVA transmission test to check last step products for UV protective properties. Unfortunately, so far I've yet to find a wax coating or sealant product that shows any meaningful reduction. If you're curious about the test in depth, check out the video in your top corner. For this test, I will show you 3 microscopy slides. Our first slide is completely free of any protection. The second has a cheap clear coat applied to it that I picked up on Amazon. And the final slide has our UV protective film applied to it. We're gonna turn our machine on and wait for it to calibrate. And what this machine does is it shoots visible light and UVA light as well as infrared light through, and it picks it up and shows you the values. In our case, we could see that 100% of visible light is passing through, 0% of UVA is being reflected, and 0% of infrared is being reflected. We're really only interested mainly in the UVA reflection, that's what the R means, and the visible light. So here's just a blank microscopy slide just so we can get a baseline. And as you can see, you're getting somewhere around, and kind of depends on how you adjust the slide, but you're getting somewhere around 93% of visible light through and around 8.7 to 8.5% of UVA being blocked by just the glass. Now, if we take our clear coated slide, which is also the same kind of slide, but has that clear coat applied, we can see that it is blocking almost 90% of UVA and passing through still most of the visible light. And because I'm not a great painter, as you adjust this slide, you'll see slight variations in thickness of the clear coat. Now let's pick up this slide that has the 3M applied to it and put that in and see what it does. Wow, it's better than the clear coat. We're seeing 93.4% of UV being blocked and 91.9% of visible light passing through. So I think that's a little more visible light and a little bit more UV, which is good. That's what you want. Now I'm sure this will depend on the type of clear coat you use. This is some cheapo stuff I got, but that's a pretty interesting result. Now what I'm kind of curious about is what if we put the 3M PPF on the clear coat? What will that yield? Let's get this guy in here with the combination. And wow, we're almost at 100%. It's almost as good as my glasses. See, 100% blocked by the glasses. I want to take a quick second to let you know that I have Amazon affiliate links down below in the description to the equipment and production gear used in this video. If you click through and purchase anything at all on Amazon, I will receive a small commission at no cost to you that will help me produce future content. I have some really cool new tests coming to the channel that I just can't wait to share with you. So if you haven't done so already, make sure to click that subscribe button and ring the bell so you don't miss that content. It's the next day now, and let's take a look at the visual qualities of our film and the waxes and coatings that we applied. So standing back a little, what's interesting to me is that it's hard to tell the difference between the different products when they've been applied to the actual film. One thing that might be a little hard to show you guys on camera is that there's way more orange peel with this particular film. Now, I don't know if that's all films or just this one. I do hear the newer version of this film is supposed to have less orange peel effect. Now, off to the left of our film patches, I do see a difference in the products themselves. They actually all three look pretty good. Because of the 8-bit color limitation of YouTube, it may be a little hard for you guys to see. Hopefully you guys will be able to see the little squares where we have the graphene, then the poly seal. I think the poly seal is probably the lightest. And then we've got the Wolfgang in the back, and the Wolfgang looks really good. I thought we could take some gloss meter readings. I don't normally do them on the hood because the hood is painted. It's not like the piece of glass that I would normally use. And it's harder to get consistent results because there's differences in the amount of clear coat. Like, it's not one perfect, exactly same thickness amount of clear coat. So as you move around, you're gonna get some different readings. We're getting 93.3 gloss units of reading here. And that's about right. Like, that's why I polished that piece of glass test panel to a 94, because it's representative of a well-painted glossy panel, but you can see it moves around even though this has been polished. But we're roughly at 93 gloss units. Let's try it on our bare piece of film. And you can see we did step down a little gloss. Try it over here. Yeah, I mean, it does seem to have a hit to the gloss. I mean, I'm getting 80s and things like that, not 90s. So interestingly, I am seeing like 87s on where I use the Wolfgang. So I wonder if the Wolfgang's actually bringing the reflectivity up. Now let's try over here with the poly seal. 87.5. 86. Let's try the graphene. 88.6, even better. 88.8. And then let's try the bare paint with the Wolfgang. 91.4. You see, the Wolfgang takes a little away from just the bare paint, but it pops up on the film. Let's look at the poly seal. 89.5. 88.9. Base graphene. 93.9. See, the graphene does very well, 94 even. The graphene is doing very well on the hood. So clearly the film has quite a big hit when it comes to gloss, but it can be improved by various products. Now we're gonna do a bit of a torture test. So we'll look at this one large piece of film in quadrants, and I'm gonna be using my fingernails for 15 seconds in this area to see if they can do any damage to the film. Fingernails have roughly the same sort of hardness as a lot of coatings do. Some coatings are a little harder than fingernails, but it's roughly in that area. Basically seeing if I can scuff this stuff up really bad. Next in this quadrant, we're gonna go with a plastic brush and see if that does anything. So same deal. That didn't seem to do much, maybe a few small scuffs. Now we're gonna go for a stainless steel brush, and I assume this is gonna wreck it. We'll use this corner here. Yeah, definitely messed it up pretty good. Finally, I've got a bunch of road debris on a clay, and I sprayed just a drop of detail spray just to make it not get stuck. So let's do the same thing. Let's just clean it up a little with some detail spray. Okay, and I can tell you, the brush did very little. My fingernails definitely left scratches. The steel left scratches, but amazingly, the road debris didn't do much. I busted out the heat gun. We'll see if it does anything at all. Wow, I am so impressed right now. Even those steel marks came out. That's so cool. There's a couple of fingernail marks I still see that I think went deep when I kind of cut like that. All the road debris stuff is gone. All the stuff from the brush is gone. Let's peel this off and see if there's any damage to the paint underneath. I don't expect there to be. No damage from what we did. PPF did its job. Now look, rock smacking it at high velocity could be a different situation. We're outside and we're gonna do the durability tests for our last step products and kind of check out the hydrophobicity. At the top, we have the PPF with nothing on it. Then we have the Wolfgang. Then we have the polyseal. And at the bottom, we have the Adams graphene, which has an interesting tone to it. It's almost like a bluish tone. It's kind of, I don't know why, but it looks weird on the PPF. I don't know that I like it. The actual last step products on the right next to the PPF all look pretty good. However, looking at the PPF itself, we can see just how much orange peel there is. Even on the ones that I did a pretty good job applying, like this one, the orange peel is kind of outrageous when you compare to the polished surface. And there may be better PPFs, and we'll look at that in the future. For now, let's take a look at the hydrophobicity and see if the PPF on its own is hydrophobic and how the products compare versus being layered on the PPF. So just for our control, that's what our control looks like. Now let's look at just the PPF. And wow, the PPF is pretty hydrophobic on its own. Now let's look at the PPFs and the different products. And it's pretty clear the Wolfgang's kind of the least hydrophobic of the bunch. The polyseal and the graphene are doing a great job. This test will be interesting because I don't know if we'll be able to tell when the products wear off on the PPF, but maybe the PPF will start to get dull and not hydrophobic as we wash it. I don't know. Let's look at it again. We'll be using the Adams Blue, same dilution, same setting, same as everything in my other tests. So that's wash number one. Let's rinse it. Okay, let's check out the products. Now let's keep washing and seeing where things start to wear off. Let's see how the products work. Starting to see some damage on the polyseal. Again, the Wolfgang doesn't look to be doing much, and the graphene's still working well. Graphene and the polyseal still seem to be doing something on the film. So let's spray down number 16. This is where the poly seal started to really fail last time. This is a small square. I may have applied quite a bit of product. So yeah, the poly seal is not doing that great anymore, but it's still holding in, so that's gonna be more than last time. And again, I do think it's just because I applied so much. Graphene's doing great. So we can tell the poly seal definitely has failed within 20. The graphene is still working very well, and the only thing is that blue tint is still there. I really don't like that. We can see the graphene still working, everything else is pretty much dead, but the film's still very hydrophobic. So graphene is still clearly working, but it's definitely taken a big hit. So at 113 in, let's take a look. Looks like the graphene's still pretty marginal. Honestly, I'd be redoing it. But what we have learned is that it is definitely hard to tell where you still have product on top of the film. You could probably tell by slickness. To wrap up this video, I want to give you my thoughts on PPF and what it can do. Now, I'm still very new to PPF. I'm learning it as I go, and I'm not really an expert yet, but I think our test today showed some very interesting results. Starting off with looks, I think with this particular 3M film, there is just a ton of orange peel. That was probably my biggest negative takeaway from the whole PPF experience. I am told that other products from other brands, as well as 3M's newest, latest, greatest Pro Series, is supposed to have less of that effect. However, with the 3M, I would say it's not something I would go for purely aesthetically, because I'll be able to just see all that orange peel all the time. Interestingly, I kind of found that the 3M also hid some of the looks difference when applying last step products. I couldn't really tell with my eyes, and I doubt it'll show up on the camera. I do think that could be another consideration for PPF, whether or not it'll really show those last step products through. To contrast the negatives of the visual appeal, I think it's important to talk about UV protection. I am so excited to be able to show results in the UV protection category. You can use PPF to block UV light. It even boosted what my clear coat was able to do. PPF is a viable UV protectant solution. I think you pretty much have to have UV protection in a PPF film, otherwise it would just rapidly turn yellow and get all gross. It will eventually fail, just like clear coat will eventually fail, your headlights will eventually fail. UV protection is not infinite. I think where the paint protective film has an advantage is that this film is 152 microns thick, just the film part of it, while a coating is typically at most 1 to 2 microns thick. This is an order of magnitudes thicker than just a wax or a coating. I think that makes the big difference as far as ability to really absorb and block UV light. Another very interesting area for me was the gloss readings. I think this confirmed a lot of what I've been saying for the last however long I've been making these test videos, that gloss readings tend to decrease from the application of products on a finely finished surface. If you've spent all your time polishing your hood and you're getting paint readings in the 90s and above in terms of gloss units, it's gonna be very hard to put something on that paint to make it glossier. And clearly, as far as reflected light, applying the PPF to my panel took a significant hit. We lost, I think, close to 10 gloss units, maybe 8. What was so interesting to me as well, when we started applying those waxes and coatings to the other PPF patches, we saw an increase in performance. And this jives with what I've been saying all along. If you take a dull hood, like we see people do in other test videos, something in the 70s, 80s, in terms of gloss units, yeah, you can slather on a coating or a wax or another last step product and get a higher number. But when you start with a finely finished surface, something that you've polished and prepared, other than that ceramic coating and a few other products that I've tested, most products will do a big hit as far as the gloss. And if you looked at those patches, depending on which product we applied, with the Adams Graphene Ceramic doing the best, we saw a big difference in those gloss numbers. And the Adams Ceramic really brought us up to basically almost the bare panel. So kudos to Adams. And in fact, when I did their testing before on a slightly duller panel, it brought it up by several units too. And just to reiterate, gloss is not how pretty something looks to your eye. That's kind of a different type of science. This is really just the amount of reflected light. And losing several gloss units can be noticeable. 10 gloss units is clearly noticeable to the naked eye. Another area where this product shined was that self-healing. Now, 3M does not specifically say that this Scotchgard product has self-healing. There are other products that specifically call out self-healing, but self-healing is a commonly held belief that PPF does it. And in our case, we saw amazing self-healing properties. I was actually kind of stunned that my fingernail did the most damage, but I think it's because I was able to push and cut while like the wire brush mainly messed with the surface. But even then, when we applied heat, almost everything was gone. I saw like one little fine line from where I messed it with my fingernail. That's absolutely incredible. I was not expecting it to have that level of self-healing. I kind of thought maybe it'd be a little more gimmicky. But wow, a little heat from a heat gun and it looked like it was new again. I feel really good about telling people like, yeah, there are clearly PPFs that self-heal. I think with the last step products, there's a mixed bag. I had a hard time telling, because of the natural hydrophobicity of the PPF, where we were losing the last step products. One area of concern I did have with using last step products on this particular PPF is that weird blue tint that it got when I applied the Adams Graphene Ceramic. I don't know if it's the solvent in it or some other property of the product that could cause that. I am actually going to reach out to Chris from B&B Blending and Adams Polishes and ask him if they've seen that before. For me, if I was going to apply PPF to a vehicle and then consider ceramic coating it, I would probably do a test first. And I might actually PPF a vehicle, maybe that red car behind me. I'll get more into that car in future videos. I think what I would do is I would take a patch of PPF, I'd put it on a piece of glass or another nice shiny reflective surface. I'd treat it with my choice of wax, sealant, or coating. I'd let it go through the normal process, I'd let it cure, and then I would take a look and see if it's developing any haziness or tint or any other negative qualities. One thing I will also call out, because I did a little more testing with ceramic coatings on the PPF just for my own sake, I noticed that it's more prone to high spotting. When the ceramic coating starts to flash and maybe like haze up just a tiny bit on the PPF, let's say there's a spot that you don't catch right away and it's already gone through that oily kind of flashy phase, it's harder to remove it from the PPF than the bare paint. What I would recommend is immediately take a little bit more of the ceramic, put it on a little applicator, and just go over that spot again. It'll immediately dissolve what's there, and then go and take it off like you would normally. I hope all of you enjoyed this video. It's not exactly the usual content I do when I do testing, but I thought there was a lot of interesting stuff to discover here. And I have so much new testing coming soon. There's some really exciting things that I just can't wait to show you guys. If you haven't subscribed already, make sure to hit that subscribe button. Definitely leave me a comment. Tell me what you thought about the PPF. Leave me some feedback. Maybe you've worked with other PPFs and there's better things that I should be looking at and testing. And I hope to see you again really soon.